Hello, everybody. Welcome back to VoiceSpark Live, coming to you live from a very, very shitty Chromebook in rural Washington. I am accompanied by Liam
I can't
and
believe you actually
Ben.
introed with that.
Hey, man, if the Chromebook sucks, wear it, right? So
Give
anyhow,
that guy truly.
you know what? I didn't have a trolley. I had a couple mug root beers, and a nice hamburger. It was awesome. So we're coming to you live from our new time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, which is pretty much our same time, just different time zones, 9 p.m. Eastern. Ben is in NYC and Liam is in Chicago.
And I just want to say really quick, big ups to everyone who is tuned in on my channel as well as VoiceSpark. We're simulcasting this over on my YouTube channel. So just a quick hello to everyone that is watching on the Urban Army stream.
Awesome. And again, Liam, we really appreciate you coming over. And if you can, if you're on Liam's channel or our channel, just search VoiceSpark Live and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. We do 5 to 10 minute YouTube videos on Amazon Alexa skills that you should be using. And with that said, I'm going to kick it over to Ben. Ben, do you got any news for this week?
Yes, I do have some news. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. Actually, I should be updating where my location is, considering I'm in Long Island now, and I've been doing the deep dive on some Long Island podcasts. Very random.
Home of the Long Island Ducks.
That's right. They've been featured quite a bit lately. I don't know what that's about. They got a 45-year-old guy. He's close to my age. That is a player coach. He's been on the news quite a bit lately. So maybe we'll go check them out for a game. Who knows?
Yeah, so, you have to report back and tell us about the duck too.
Yeah, exactly. That looks like a cool stadium. Actually, I think it seats 8,000 people. It's pretty cool for minor league baseball. Excited to maybe I'll go check that out this week. We'll see. Newswise, what do I got here? I found a interesting article, and this is kind of related to I think what our sponsor for the 2 months Lotus is doing. You know, it's a studio called Replica Studios. You guys heard of this place, Replica Studios?
No.
They're going early access with AI voice actors for their their Unreal MetaHuman creator. So I guess they're creating these assistants, or they're early access to integrate voice actor services, which I'm pretty sure the Lotus team is doing. I'm really excited for what Jim and the team are doing. I think we have an app coming out pretty soon that'll give people access to these voice actors more or less. But looks like they're based in Brisbane, Australia, and they're a startup, and they have kind of these digital virtual assistants that I guess companies can leverage and stuff like that. I'll share the link with everyone, but it's a pretty cool human creator that developers can use realistic looking and moving artificial humans. So it's pretty cool what they're doing down there and down under. So that's one article that I found, and I'll share that with everyone as well. And then the other one was, this is kind of funny because it reminds me of some of our other guests that we had on that are creating voice assistants on websites. So in Russia, you can now get a marriage license and you get your passport application through a voice assistant on their state-run website. And really? The assistant is called Max, I believe. Yeah. So you just talk right into the website, and it looks like you can apply for a marriage license, which is super important, and obviously apply for your passport too. So that's kind of interesting. A state-run kind of website is doing that. SBR, Serber Bank Salutes, and I'll share that link with everyone too. So those are some two cool news articles that I found today. One was on voicebot.ai. That's one everyone, I think everyone knows. And then I'll share the other kind of press release with everyone too. So those were pretty cool things. And the Ducks, man, the Ducks in Long Island. So
the Ducks.
That's what we got.
I had a really, really, really cool interaction with an IVR system for Domino's.
Oh, you were saying, yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to order pizza, and I was like, okay, cool. I hate ordering anything, right? Like Chinese food, Mexican, hamburgers, doesn't matter. I just hate doing it. I'd rather have my wife do it. And I'm sitting there, so I call up and I'm like, oh God, it's going to be an IVR system. And you can hear it, right? Like they're not letting you talk to somebody. They're like, what do you want? What would you like? We got some pizzas and some specials. So I get a little bit through the process, and I'm like, okay, it understood that I wanted 3 pizzas. It understood the toppings. I'm just going to see what happens if I say I want to talk to somebody. So I did. Bounced out. Some guy from the actual store answered and was like, oh, yeah, I got your order right here. Bam, 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 bam. Does it sound good? I'm like, yep, 3 pizzas. He's like, okay, cool. And then he went off the line again. She came back on, confirmed that I wanted to pay at the store, and then placed the order, and that was it. And I thought it was wild because it was almost like the guy at the store was the safety valve, and
Exactly.
the IVR system was the actual like person I was ordering from. And it's still a little bit weird. I mean, like it was still a tiny bit cumbersome as far as like, does she understand that like I want extra sauce on that one medium pizza? And it did. I mean, it was awesome. It was a good
truly amazing thing about Domino's, and I don't think people realize this only because it's Domino's. They've been invested in that IVR technology for a very, very long time. I don't know if you ever used like the original app actually had a voice ordering system that would use natural English processing to handle, and it was a little cumbersome and a little bit bulky, but they were like the first ones to really try that. And so I'm not at all surprised that I live in Chicago, so like if you order from Domino's or Pizza Hut, you are shunned. Like it.
Right. I mean, you guys got a whole other, I don't know that, man. I can't get over what you guys call a pizza. It's still a quiche to me, but it's delicious.
Right. I know our pizza's a lot. I mean, like I was in Jersey and I was in New York, and it's definitely, I mean, each place has its own style, and without going to a whole like pizza debate, because I'm sure people are going to write in and be like, well, I like this one. I like this one. I think they both have their merits. I really do. And I'm from Chicago where this is, we eat our deep dish, but I think both have really good merits. But yeah, so I don't keep up with what Domino's does. My girlfriend lives in like the middle of nowhere, and so if you want pizza there, it's Domino's. Like you're getting Domino's, that's it. Or like maybe the pizza from like Casey's General Store or something.
That's a real place. I drove.
Yeah, Casey's General Store. It's a they're a chain. And they're like kind of like if you took like a 7-Eleven and added like a simple like little restaurant.
Interesting. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, hey,
I feel like almost like a Wawa in a way, kind of like. I mean, I don't know if they still have this like in New York, but like Wawa, they've got like the subs and the hoagies and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, back home, and Nick and I are from Western PA originally. We have the sheets. And they have all the MTO stuff, right? So you all made to order. You could like punch in the screen and everything like that. That's right.
Jersey has. I forget what it is. It starts with a Q. It might Q something, and it's a gas station. No, not Quiznos, but it's like it's a full featured gas station. But they also have like made to order paninis and like it's amazing. Of course, Jersey, I think, is the one state where they still you can't pump your own gas. I think they do it for you.
No, it's Oregon.
I thought Jersey was like that too.
Yeah. Jersey's like that. Yep, Jersey's like that. That's right.
You want to hear a funny story? So I'm driving across.
I was going to have it. I have a funny one after Sheets. So about Sheets after you. Go ahead, Nick.
I'm driving across country. I'm 19 years old. I'm up in Pendleton, Oregon. I get out to pump my own gas. I get the gas nozzle into the car. I start pumping. All of a sudden, some guy comes out of the gas station screaming at me, "Get back in the car!" You would have thought that I was like doing something illegal, and I'm like, he's like, "Get back in the car now!" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "We pump the gas. We pump the gas." I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool." Now, like I can't even like get a drink, right? I'm 19 years old. I just joined the Coast Guard, drove across the country, and that was my experience with Oregon. So
yeah,
you were trying to take jobs away, man. What were you trying to do, man? You were trying to take a job.
Man.
I was a job killer.
He took your jobs.
Oh man, what was yours?
Funny thing about I was going to say. So this is a long time ago, and I owned a little company back in Western PA, and I got a little SBA award and stuff like that. But there was a the I guess the grand winner that year for SBA Western PA or Atlantic region or something like that was Stan Sheets, the guy, one of the founders, or I guess the founder's son of Sheets. Which if you're from Western PA, Ohio, I think West Virginia, and a few other states, Sheets is like a massive gas station and chain, I guess if you will, and they have these MTO orders and all that other stuff. But he's just such a character on stage. I mean, he's worth like $1 billion, right? But he was just it was just funny. He came up on stage. He's like, you know what? I was thinking about this morning, and we were the first to put pay at the pump with a credit card. Yeah, I probably should have put a patent on that one. Oh well, it was just so like what? Oh my gosh. Anyway, but yeah, he was just a character, and but Sheets is a massive company. I can imagine if they did like I don't know if they would need to apply voice to maybe their MTO orders, but they have a really nice POSI screen, so POS that system in place. But who knows? Maybe in the future they'll do that, but definitely they won't put any patents on it.
Maybe in the future. All right.
Oh man, order at the pump. Order at the pump. Like put in your MTO right at the pump. Voice order right there. There you go.
MTO, GTO, all the TOs, gas to order, meat to order, ATO, assistant to order. So moving on, we have there is a competition going off, and the competition is to win a 4th generation Echo Dot, and it's very, very simple. The only thing that you need to do is go to the PopTel website. That's www.poptel.com, and scroll down just a little bit, and you will see a text field in order to insert your address. And you could do it that way, or you could do it another way where you actually follow us on Twitter by using a Gleam link, and that allows us to increase our Twitter following and our Facebook page following. So I will dump a link to that, to the competition, inside of the chat. And if you can, sign on up, like, share, and subscribe, and pass this on to your family and friends. PopTel's trying to become the sort of like the IGN of voice gaming. So it's going to be pretty big. And with that said, tonight we have Ryan Hollander from Voiced. And I had an opportunity to talk with Ryan before the show a couple months ago, before I made my journey west. And he's got an awesome product. It's called Front Office, and it works in conjunction with the Amazon Residential and or Alexa for Residential. And I think it's great that he's here. He's going to speak about it, and let's go ahead and bring him on. Ryan.
Hi.
Well, welcome to Voice Spark Live.
Thank you.
Hopefully the shitty Chromebook doesn't, explode on us again like it did last time. If it does,
explode?
I'll say
it came pretty darn close. It
I mean, your lips are pretty in sync with your audio there. You're much better.
Yeah, I think you're in good shape.
It's crazy. Hey, anything can happen. So, Ryan, I thanks again for coming on the show. I know that this is your first podcast experience, right?
Yeah, it is. It's exciting.
So I'm super stoked, man. So tell me, I was scrolling through your LinkedIn, and I see that you also work for Rain. Is that still accurate?
Yeah, that's new, actually. Yeah, I just started there about 6 weeks ago.
Cool.
So,
Dude, that's awesome. Rain's a good agency. They're making a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. Really cool voice story at Rain. A lot of really smart people working on really smart stuff. They hired me on to help build a product. I can't really say much more than that, but they got some investment, and I'm heading up technical development for a product for them right now.
Hey, it's all good. Yeah. It's all good, man.
We love clandestine projects. They're good.
Yeah, we all got them.
Yeah, it's exciting actually. It's pretty cool. We're using some new voice technology that I haven't used before. It's not on Alexa or Google or anything. Completely different type of project for me. So a lot of fun, interesting stuff.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's something in the wild completely. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be
So
interesting.
tell us a little bit about front office. Now,
Yeah.
this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have Liam here, is because Liam is fully blind, and I felt that it would be appropriate to have him here because front office could help even with those people who are visually impaired. So, tell us, how did you come up with this, and how does it work with Alexa for residential?
Yeah, sure. So a number of years ago, I'd worked on a voice product for a company called Wisdy. They're no longer around, but we did an integration with Alexa and Wisdy, and Wisdy had a natural language processing search engine for looking up reports. So you give them your data, and they would do some magic to it, and then you could ask stuff like, "What were my sales figures for July?" and so on and so forth. They actually showcased this integration at Dreamforce that year. So this was early days. So this was the first year that the Alexa SDK was out. Skills were new, and we were working with the version 1 SDK. And we did a couple little videos and posted some stuff and wrote some articles about it and whatnot. So fast forward a couple years, and Amazon is putting together the certification program for Amazon Alexa, and they reached out to me to help them build their what they call the JTA, which is kind of like the topic list that they use to then build the exam, right? So it's like the topics that you're going to cover, and like what kind of stuff you have to know, and like how to weight it and all that. So we kind of they flew me out to Seattle for a week, and I was in a conference room with a couple other third-party subject matter experts and some folks from Amazon. And I think they did several of these groups. It wasn't just the one. And they built the JTA from that. And I came back out and helped with some question writing and stuff like that. But when I came back from that first trip, I'd been working with my business partner at the time on freelance stuff. We were doing a lot of marketing and web and stuff. And I was like, hey, we need to get back into voice. I mean, this stuff's blowing up. This is where we need to be. I'm like, we got to work on a voice product. So we started, kind of brainstorming that. And we went through a number of things. He had some celebrity entertainment clients. So we talked about, voice solutions for them. We even went so far as talking with one of them and had spec'd something out, and we're starting to build it. And we were looking at retirement communities, and his wife happens to be in the multifamily industry for apartment complexes and whatnot. And they got to talking, and she was saying, like, they were at these industry meetings, and everyone's talking about Alexa, but no solutions are out there. So we're like, that's it. That's the thing that we need to kind of pursue, is that space. So we looked into it more, and the space seemed big enough, and the money seemed like it was there, the revenue and all that. So we built out a little prototype just doing service requests and showed it to a couple of property managers, and they loved it. They were just like blown away. It was real smoke and mirrors kind of stuff. It was my refrigerator, or Alexa, my refrigerator's broken, and it would kind of walk you through gathering a bit of information. Where's the refrigerator? It's in the kitchen. What's broken? It's not cooling. That kind of stuff. And then it would send me an email, right? And so we could show them on the phone, the email, and the text and everything. And so we're like, okay, that's it. We got it. So we started building that out for real, and ended up going to a conference here called with a group called AGA, which is here in Orlando, which is like an apartment association. Did a little thing, a little speech, showed it off and all that, and got a lot of interest back about it again, and started adding another feature, which was the knowledge base feature. So originally we just had the service requests, and now we're adding the knowledge base feature. And as we're adding that, we're talking to some of our property manager folks, and they're like, oh, notification's a big deal. And so kind of as we're going along, we start to realize what this really is a communication platform. It's like a asynchronous communication platform for property managers. And, a lot of our original idea was around, like, eventually we'll have a tool for the property managers to do stuff, so they can come in the morning and be like, hey, what are my service requests? So send that one to the plumber, that kind of stuff. Right. Respond to the apartment complex. We had to start with the resident side. So that's where we did. And we built an admin backend for the property manager to manage things. We built a Alexa skill that we got published in the store. It takes in service requests. It'll answer questions, which is my favorite part of it. You can ask it a question. Where's the pool is a simple one that we use all the time, but you can get much more complicated than that to like, how deep is the pool? And I mean, as detailed as you really want. And there's a knowledge base on the back end that, if the answer is there, it'll answer the question. But if the answer is not there, it'll prompt you to send that question to the property manager. Property manager gets an alert. They can go into the system on their phone or through an admin. They can answer it, right, in the knowledge base. It goes back in the knowledge base, and it alerts the resident that asked the question, hey, I've got an answer. Sends them a notification on their Alexa or a text or an email, depending on what preferences they have set up. Right. So they get the answer, and the answer goes back in the knowledge base. So the system kind of, learns on its own, right? As folks ask questions, your property managers can answer them, so on and so forth. And then the third feature.
It sounds like kind of like they have, the Echo Answers, but on a
similar
property. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. So I apologize for it, but I just.
No. I think it's great. I think it's going to be
I actually love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, one of the reasons we decided to play in that space is we figured that Amazon wouldn't, right? It's just too niche. It's not something that's going to show up in a generalized answers. And we figured it was something we could expand outward, to other things, even maybe local type of things as well in the future, for other revenue streams. But in the near term, it was for properties and property management. We've built some cool features in there too. I mean, it does. There's some really rudimentary memory built into it. So if you ask it something like, "Where's the pool?" and then it'll give you an answer, and then it follows up. It's like, "Do you have another question?" And if you say, "How deep is it?" it'll remember that you were talking about the pool and give you an answer.
Love that. Love that.
That's really
and
cool.
It's simple and it's rudimentary, and probably needs some testing and improvement. But we've got a lot of that kind of stuff in there. I implemented Alexa catalog on the front. So because one of the things this is interesting, one of the things that Alexa does is it will add in topic synonyms that you didn't put in your ontology, right? So sometimes it'll guess, right? And so then it passes that to the back end. Well, the problem is my back end runs off the database. So if that's not in my database,
exactly,
there's no match. So I actually, about a year ago, they came out with the ability to pull categories from like a database instead of just putting them in the manifest, right? Yeah, I don't know if you know about that feature. It's really cool, and you can auto update them on a schedule. Very nice. So I built that into the back end. So now when Alexa comes up with a new topic, the system actually puts it in as a category. So then when it comes all the way back out. So there's some loops in there to, learn as we go and build up your knowledge base and build up some of its front end knowledge about topics in that space. And it has a large and very generic ontology. In fact, we broke several best practices building that ontology. It can answer over 7 trillion different question combinations.
Well, that's amazing too, because, like you mentioned with databases, if you've done anything in that sort of space, that, listen, if it's not in the database, it doesn't exist. And now with a lot of this natural language processing and all that, we all have different ways of asking for things. And so being able to work with that is really impressive. And I love that they've built in that ability. And I love that you're taking advantage of that, because, I mean, that's going to make or break you. I mean, really.
I hate shitty voice experiences with
Yes.
I hate them. And I hate lazy voice experiences. I really do, and it drives me nuts. I'll tell you something crazy. Like, I do almost all my testing voice wise as I do development for that very reason, because if you do automated testing, you never test all these different variations. I wrote code for us that actually took all of our utterances, because I have a couple of guys that I work with out of the UK, and they built all of my utterances for all the questions and answers, and they have very good grammar. Too good. So we had to rework all of those for bad grammar.
And the problem is they probably have different words for things, because you're like, where's the elevator? And are you looking for the lift? So
yeah, we have to work through some of that, but yeah, they're actually used to working with Americans, and they're used to working around the EU.
That's good,
so that's
because
helpful.
you got those.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of people like I come from a natural language processing background, so I worked with Oracle and Inquira before that. Inquira was AnswerFriend. AnswerFriend was an NLP engine that was back in 1999, 2000, around that time, was put together off the Stanford stuff, right? So it's, pretty bog standard NLP kind of stuff if you're into that, kind of thing. Very successful search engine, combined with a content management tool that they sold to enterprises as a knowledge-based knowledge management tool. So my background is in heavy knowledge-based enterprises for technology companies, car companies, insurance companies. I've worked with two of the largest insurance companies in the world implementing that system. So, it's a heavy lift, and there just aren't a lot of people yet out there that have the real knowledge and the background to build those types of ontologies, right? We do, because we've been doing it in other spaces, and we've brought that over into this voice space now. But a lot of the folks that are coming over from voice are coming over from chat, or they're coming over from UX, and they don't have that NLP background. And you see that in a lot of the experiences. You really see the gaps there, and there's a lot of other challenges in the space, certainly, but I think that's a big one. Ontologies and taxonomies. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, the other side was bulletins. That was the last feature that we had, which sends a notice out to everybody in the property. We were going to start to stratify that to like, so you could do arbitrary groups, so you could do a floor, you could do a building, because we track buildings, floors, apartments in the system and put the residents into those. And then the other thing we were working on is a really new thing, which is the Alexa for residential integration. Oh, we got a special guest. That system is sort of like fleet management. So you roll out a Wi-Fi, you put the Echo devices into the apartments. They live in the apartment. They are tied to the unit. And then you can roll out private skills, much like you can for Alexa for business or Alexa for hospitality. So we were in the process of tying our system into that, so that you could configure your stuff in our system, and then it would automatically create an Alexa for residential for you, and we could help you roll all that out, that kind of thing.
That's really cool.
Now, when did the because I know Alexa for cancel. Well, I just need to turn this thing off. Because it's for the next hour. If I say,
I did.
Yeah, I had to reach up and turn mine off. I know that Alexa for hospitality has been something that's been played with. This is the first I've ever heard of the Alexa for residential.
It's brand new.
Is that brand new? Yeah,
it's pretty new. At the they got in touch with us, or we got in touch with them around October of last year, I think it was.
Oh,
and it was brand new. I just announced it, and I think there's maybe 4 companies. You know what it is? It's a fleet management back end rolled out on AWS with a bunch of REST services and a really shallow hierarchy built up in front of it. And there's absolutely no console, GUI, or anything. I actually have a project that I was working on. I'm not really actively right now, where we were building out the console for that against their REST services. Incidentally, in Amplify for AWS, of course. So, yeah.
So, this is a really cool product, and I mean, I read a little bit. I kind of researched before we came in here. Pardon the pun, but I didn't want to come in completely blind.
But yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
But yet, I like this guy. We got to keep him around. How is this scalable? Where you could do this in a hospitality setting, like, because I could see hotels using something like this.
Yeah, hotels. We've actually talked with hotels. We were really focused on multifamily, and our system, unfortunately, the way we built it wasn't really. We didn't really have the thought that we would pivot to something like hospitality or hotel. Airbnb was something we talked a lot about, because the model is very similar.
Yeah.
Even though you have a sort of a short-term, tenant in the Airbnb model, you have a house where you have sort of a permanent resident, right? So you can sign up and it just lives there, and that's fine.
I mean, I like the idea of this in hotels, because I could really see, like,
we were talking about like being a concierge. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I stayed. When I was in Raleigh last year, I stayed at Unscripted, and there would have been really times where having that, my room didn't have a Alexa built in or anything, but a lot of these hotels now are doing that. And I feel like that, because when I read about this, my first thought was, like, I was thinking about the multifamily stuff, but I was like, man, hotels could really use something like that.
So I would tell you that I think there's 2 like huge things that we learned building and promoting front office, was that there's a huge opportunity here for question and answer kind of stuff.
Yes.
And if I would say that, like, to anybody that's listening, like, look for stuff that Amazon's not likely to play in if you're going to go on Alexa or Google, right?
Yep.
And that's going to be stuff that's going to have some sort of door in front of it that they're going to have a hard time getting into.
Exactly.
Right. In our case, it was a property, right? So we have to actually go in and individually sell into properties or sell into larger property companies in order to get them to build the knowledge base. It's not something Amazon or Google's going to have, the ability to go in and do any easier than you will, right? There's a million of these spaces, right? Another one is IVRs. IVRs are weak sauce. I mean, I cannot.
Yes.
Perpetually.
Yeah, and there's tons of good. I mean, like Amazon Connect is a very, very excellent way to get started with something like that. And if you have like chatbot skills or voice skills, that's an easy pivot, like an easy transition over is to get into doing Connect and IVRs. And then when you get better with the chat and the voice stuff, I think ontologies and taxonomies are going to be huge. Like you said, being able to understand somebody no matter how they speak. Outside of the automatic speech recognition stuff you've got with accents and things like that, you also have grammar and vocabulary that you have to cover, and it's a huge corpus,
Yeah.
So what we've found is that narrowing that context down to something that we're going to handle, like say properties, right, allows us to handle a huge amount of stuff, but still get you bang on to that answer that you need when you ask the question.
Yeah, Ryan, that was one of the things that I've always said about designing skills, right? You want to design something, you think about what she can do, what she can't do, and try to design your game or your skill around what she can't do. And because you can ask her, how tall is this mountain? She's going to know that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But if you were able to design a game that featured something that she couldn't have, like leaderboards or multiplayer action, those sort of things are going to help separate you from the pack.
Yeah, one of the big things I wanted to avoid up front was the low-hanging fruit. There's a ton of it, and there's a ton of crap skills out there. I mean, just like the kind of shovelware you get on apps and app stores and stuff.
I was going to say, it's like if you guys, I don't know how, I think a lot of us may have gotten heavy. If you want to talk about shovelware, just look at the Nintendo Wii. I mean, that was just full of shovelware. And I feel like we're seeing that with the, with Amazon. I always call it the Amazon App Store. It's not really, but I mean, I guess it's kind of like the skill store. I don't know if they're what the term.
And what's funny is like at the beginning, everyone was talking about discoverability and can has fulfillment and all this other, name-free invocation. You don't hear anybody talking about any of that anymore because none of it works.
Right.
For sure. Unless you're a huge brand, name-free invocation doesn't work for you.
Yep.
Search doesn't work for you. Discoverability, you are 100% responsible for going out there and marketing your skill.
You are. I mean, I can tell you as an end user, I do not check the skills section at all. Every skill that I've worked with has been because of word of mouth
or someone else's advertising. Right?
Exactly. There has been no, and I don't know anyone else that does it either. I think it's all word of mouth. There's no sort of ability to get recommendations, and I don't get meaningful. I used to, and I don't get meaningful recommendations either. Because I know, well, you might enjoy this skill, and I'm just like, no, I won't enjoy that skill. You're wrong. So yeah, I mean,
you'll be playing like a trivia quiz skill, and it'll be like, you might enjoy this skill. Open your car by OnStar. You're like, what the hell? Like, what's going on here?
That's true, though. It's so true.
Yeah, like, I mean, we mostly use it for music and smart home stuff. Well,
okay, here's the thing. I'm going to write a blog post pretty soon. I swear I'm going to. But one of the things I'm going to say in this blog post is that I honestly believe that whenever we ask it for music, when we ask it for what the weather is, it is essentially the equivalent of using our native apps that are built into our cell phones.
Yeah.
So the your Mail app or this or that or the other, and as you go through that, there are premium packages. Like you take the weather app in the iOS store, right? You can ask her, hey, what's the weather? Alexa, what's the weather? And she'll let you know what it is. But if you wanted more detailed, granular weather, you'd go with Big Sky, which is one of the more famous, popular weather skills on the skill store. So for me, I think that's, again, it comes down to being your best advocate. but also
Right.
people have to understand that forever in a day, the number one and the number two requests are going to be, what's the weather? And, play this song by blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that everyone's looking for the killer app for Alexa, but it doesn't exist, and it's never going to exist because the killer app is ubiquity, right? The killer app is that the thing is everywhere, and you can shout in the air and get stuff done.
Yep.
Right.
So I mean, I think there is a tremendous amount of opportunity in other spaces too, which is stuff like that I wasn't even focused on until about 6 weeks ago, right? There are a ton of there's like a dearth of stuff on the web. Like you were just talking about a web experience that you had, and I guess it was Domino's. Toll House just came out with a really creepy one that's been making the rounds. Their avatar.
Toll House?
You haven't seen that?
Creepy?
No.
Oh my god. So they have oh yeah, you got to look that up. So they have a virtual assistant that will help you make cookies.
Oh, no.
Okay.
And it's got a 3D lady that talks to you. It's like a
hot?
chatbot.
Is this on their
hot?
website?
Yeah, it's on the website. Yeah.
But is she
man. Is she
But
hot?
she's very much in the that uncanny valley for me, at least. I found
okay.
it very creepy. Yeah. It's a cool idea though. It's really brave of them to do something like that.
It's a really interesting
Ambitious.
and unique use of tech. I really. So here's an interesting question, because I was trying to think of like fun and different questions to ask instead of the usual. What is probably the most important thing you learned while developing a skill? What was like the one thing that you maybe took away from it that you didn't know before, or like did you have that light bulb or aha moment, like now I've uncovered the Holy Grail?
Well, I mean, as far as like developing or the skill itself, I mean, it voice, is really a lot about communication, right? For a lot of these things, if you're trying to do something big or you're trying to do something meaningful, a lot of what you're doing is about facilitating some kind of communication. And in our case, what it turned out to be was facilitating, asynchronous communication. There was a speed aspect of it too, because a lot of these residents, they have websites and whatnot that they can do
Very quickly,
the same stuff on, but no, I mean, I got to go to my computer. I got to get my phone. I got to go to the website. I got to log in. When was the last time I logged in? What the hell is my password?
Yeah.
How do I do this? Most of them look like CRMs, so it's not like it's user friendly, right? When you get down to it, you configure our thing once, you log in once, and then whenever you have a problem or you want to report something to your property manager, you just shout in the air.
Yeah.
Alexa, tell front office this. And
so it kind of goes along with my previous one, but and this is an interesting question. I always ask. This is one of these like questions I always ask every developer. What was the biggest challenge you faced?
Sales. Always.
Yeah.
We did a lot of work on
for a lot of people.
well, sales and picking your team, I guess. I don't know. We got kind of COVIDed, right? So we had a timing issue, right? We came out with our product hit the skill store in May of last year, which was not great timing.
No.
To go and sell to apartment complexes, right? So that was part of our problem. And it's why I'm working now. I mean, we ran out of time, we ran out of money. We're trying to, see what we can do with the thing, but
Yeah.
I
see a lot of upside, not just even in apartments, but any type of really facility management kind of situation. Are you guys planning on integrating with any type of ticketing system, or you have kind of anything like that for like larger properties?
So we built a really lightweight CRM on the back end of our system just because we kind of had to, right?
Right.
The property management business is interesting because there are, at least in the US, there are two big players and a handful of sort of medium-sized players and then a bunch of smaller players. Any kind of industry, there's tons of CRM players, right? But there's usually one or two big guys. And in this case, the two big guys are RealPage and Yardi. So they have a fun program. The property management industry is a little stodgy, a little old-fashioned. And so they have a $25,000 a year fee just to get into their APIs. We couldn't afford that.
Wow.
So we didn't do integration. We had the facility like earmarked for it, and it was something we always said like, yeah, we'll do it. And the plan was the first engagement, they probably want to do some type of integration, and we would build out our first integration then. Two-way integration was definitely in the cards, though. The lightweight CRM was really built there for demo purposes and for folks that didn't have any ticketing system. The intent was always to integrate it with some sort of back-end ticketing system, because most of them use it, and they use it for dispatching, and they use it for finances and all kinds of other stuff as well.
Right.
I'll tell you a secret. Another one somebody told me was leases. A lot of these property managers are running around all the time, and they have all this paperwork they have to prepare all the time.
Yeah.
Right. If they could prepare paperwork quickly, that's another area that I think people, you're starting to see it a little bit on the legal side. Form filling is an excellent use case for voice if you do it right.
Yes.
If you do it like an IVR, you're doing it wrong. But if you do it right, it's a good use case. Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, are you doing any outreach, I guess, to like some of the, there's a lot of BOMA organizations across the country and whatnot. So I think they would probably go wild for this and probably could start pitching this for you almost.
What was that now?
BOMA, Building Owners and Managers Associations. Is basically
I've never even heard of that. Oh, you mean like for like property managers for?
Yeah, exactly. So like there's like larger organizations in bigger cities. I remember years ago we pitched to the one in Atlanta, and they facilitate a lot of like the help for a lot of these building owners and managers. So maybe getting in with some of their good graces and whatnot, because there's some really big, larger BOMAs across the country.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we had been. In fact, we had talked to a couple of larger companies that were local here through the apartment association. And we're trying to work on a pilot as late as June of this year, May of this year rather. Unfortunately, things just kind of have fallen apart for us. Like I said, we're not kind of completely dead, but we're mostly dead. I don't know. It's unfortunate. It worked on the thing for 18 months, so it's hard,
yeah, for sure. I mean, I see a lot of upside.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a ton of upside for it. Even in the hospitality game for like hotels and whatnot. And then the other side of it is kind of where my company comes into play. We have a skill in action for security on the security side of things.
Yeah.
So if you're at home or whatever, like we just look at the statistics and we're saying, hey, you know what? 2/3 of the crimes that actually happen within the home are there when the homeowner's there, with someone they know or they need help in that situation, as opposed to like the ADTs where they're like, it's this creepy burglar that's going to break into their house.
That's an interesting statistic. Yeah.
That is. I didn't know that either. That is really interesting.
It makes sense though when you think about it.
It
does.
Through the
it really
FBI,
does.
We scan through the FBI statistics and we're like, yeah, your perpetrator is probably someone you know. It's like your cousin or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. And it's like you've already let your guard down and they're already in the home. You know, so that's where we look to it, and that's what But I see a lot of upside in this, like almost like a commingling. Like, hey, I can go. Can I get something for my apartment at the same time? So there's a ton of upside to.
There were tons of other things too. I mean, we had like a whole list of ideas, and most of I don't even want to give away. But I mean, there were a ton of things that we had come up with. Additional revenue streams. We have like a 50-page business plan that we wrote out at one point.
Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty serious about it. And I've been working with the partners I work out with out of the UK. My other partner left the company, but the two partners I work with out of the UK are still with me. We're doing some kind of stuff out there. What we've got though is, like a really good engine for answering questions, right? And what we also have is a lot of experience and skill in building out taxonomies and ontologies around a voice solution or a chatbot, really, to answer questions. I mean, we take the same ontology in our system, lives in Alexa, and it actually lives in Lex, which drives our back end search. So when you go into the admin tool, when you search for answers, or does the lookup, it does question evaluation through Lex to get the topics and stuff out. So
really cool.
Yeah.
So Ryan, I just to switch topics here a little bit because we're running out. We're running into the last 15. Where did all of this come from for you? Like where did it start? Was it watching a sci-fi movie when you were 10, or was it just
Star
going?
Trek, like everybody else. I mean,
Was it
Right.
was it Star Trek?
I think it was. I
what's the
think it was.
defining
I mean,
moment for it?
I've always been fascinated with the idea of talking to the computer,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
And I've been doing computer stuff for 25 years professionally,
Mhm.
and working with computers since I was 6. My first computer was an Apple II. We had an Atari.
Yes,
I'm a big video
I love the
gamer.
Apple II.
I mean, I'm your typical 45-year-old, white IT worker from every perspective. In that case, just so bog typical, it's terrible. But it was when Alexa came out, right?
Mhm.
The minute I saw the Echo, I was like, man, that's just.
I think
That's
there was
just
a
brilliant.
lot of us. I think it was because I was one of the ones that I had said to a lot of people, and they all laughed at me. I said, "Guys, this is the future. This is where we're going."
It was I think the big innovation was putting it in its own device, voice
Yes.
first, as Brian Rommel says, right?
Yep.
Right.
That was the big innovation, and
Yeah,
that and the smart home integration, I think, was a really smart move on their part, right?
Mhm.
For sure.
Yeah. But and obviously we had Siri before that, and that was really, really interesting. I'm not so much in the Apple ecosystem though. And then Google came out with their assistant, so you started messing around with that. And then, Echo came out. And Echo was what really kind of put me over the edge. And then when the software development kit came out, it just happened to be around the time I was in a sort of a career transition. I was wanting to move away from. I was doing consulting work for Oracle. I wasn't super happy with it. We were doing NLP stuff. I tried my hand writing some migration tools and stuff and selling that. That didn't work out. Echo came out. The SDK came out, and I was like, man, I want to try writing one of those things, but I don't want to write like some weird game or
guess the number.
a fart skill or something. Like I wanted to write something real. I wanted to put something together real, and then the WSDI opportunity came around because my partners in the UK again in Proof CX, they were working with WSDI a little bit.
Pardon the
that
pun, but I
opportunity
think
came out.
I think a fart skill could have a really impressive back end if done correctly.
Oh,
Love it.
Excellent.
It's a fully scalable back end too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
oh man, that's awesome.
Complete with
What's your-
load balancing.
What's your favorite
Yep,
sci-fi
balancing,
movie?
high availability. Don't forget the high availability.
Yes.
Hey Ryan, what's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Ooh, that's a tough one. My absolute favorite, probably Empire Strikes Back. I'm just an old school Star Wars guy. I can't. I'd probably put like Blade Runner a close, really close second. But we
What
could
did you
talk
think
about
about
sci-fi
the,
movies all day. I mean,
Well, that's what we do sometimes here. We do that sometimes. We kind of do a deep dive at times. But
It is funny though, because I mean, I do. You bring up like Siri came out, and that was impressive. But you really well encapsulated my feelings, because when Alexa came out and they're like, we made this device that will answer your questions, play the music, and that was like that moment for me that I was like, this is the future. The future is now.
well, Siri could just control your phone.
Right.
Boring.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? But Alexa and Echo was the first thing that, like, you could not only could you shout in the air, you didn't have to go to your phone and push a button or be near your phone. You could just put it somewhere and it was everywhere and it would hear you.
And it could hear you. That was the big. He was like,
Yeah.
you could be over there or over there, and it was just, it was there.
Yeah, but it also helped you control your life, not just your phone. Right. Control your house.
Sure.
So that was the big innovation. It was freeing it from the phone.
Yep, because I honestly haven't turned off my Christmas lights in 5-6 years. I mean, I've got a routine built for them, and I plug in. Honestly, I've got the smart plug.
I did that with my tree last year with the smart plug.
Isn't it awesome?
I have my two-wall air conditioner unit set up that way, so I just turn on Liam's air conditioner. It just does it. I actually had through IFT. I actually had hearing aid controls. I'm partially deaf, and so I actually had like turn up my hearing aids, turn down my hearing aids, switch the mode.
There you go.
It was great.
Yeah, so
That's
actually, I'll show you this. I built my own Christmas star. I'm actually gonna voice activate it soon or this year for this year, but it just runs on an Arduino right now.
Oh, nice.
Wait, hold on. I gotta plug it in. There it goes. There it goes. See? Oh wait, hold on. I gotta
Oh,
There it is.
that bad boy.
see. It's got the little Arduino.
That is
So
so
I'm
cool.
gonna swap it out for Node MCU so I can remote control it.
They're actually doing some stuff
cool.
to do Arduino for blind users.
Oh, really?
For people that want to build.
Yeah.
So like I've got a Raspberry here, and it's cool because I've got one of those argon cases where all the pins are mapped, except that I can't read the print at all. So, but Arduino has always been really interesting because I always wanted to build dumb
Have you
little
tried
things.
squinting to read it?
I wish I
Really?
could. I'm actually about 157.5% blind. So
Okay. That could
I'm
be
like
a problem for reading things.
completely
Pretty.
blind.
Yeah.
I'm missing parts of my eyes. It's crazy stuff.
So do they have like Braille stuff for Raspberry Pi?
I
for
don't
that
know
yet?
how they're doing. Like, so for Arduino, I don't know how they're doing it because like literally my Raspberry is just a regular board. I just called a friend and was like, does it look like I put this in the right place? And
Yeah.
I did, and it didn't blow up. So I had it running Home Assistant
Yeah.
for a while. I just built set it up so I could play like Retro Arch on it.
Yeah, I have one that I built out for RetroPie, and that thing is
Yes.
awesome. I love that. So much fun.
I spent about a week trying to get text to speech working and on Laka, and it just wasn't working correctly. But because I wanted to build like a little gaming rig, I could plug it into my TV and just like play Mortal Kombat on it.
So hey Ryan, if you say you're a Star Wars fan, then you're a video game fan, then you must have played Shadows of the Empire on Nintendo 64.
A little bit. Yeah, a little
Did
bit.
you beat it?
Yeah. No.
What?
I did. No. I played Dark Forces back
Yes,
then, too.
Dark Force. Now that was the
one I
game.
That one.
That
I
was
beat.
the game.
Yeah. You know, that was a period of time for me where I wasn't doing a lot of that kind of gaming. So that's all.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Where are you into the World of Warcraft?
No, I'm not much of an online gamer. More of a single player RPG kind of.
What's your game right now? What do you have?
I'm playing through Final Fantasy X again.
Nice.
I got Game Pass on the Xbox, which is
Yes.
just crazy cool. My God, that's awesome.
I'm supposed to. I might be, depending if they open things back up. I might be in Microsoft in November. So
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you. Final Fantasy X, was that the? Oh no, that's 7. They remade 7.
No,
I was thinking
7 they
about-
remade.
I did that one. I did that one first, actually. I played
And
through
then they're
that
gonna.
one.
Aren't they remaking?
while
Is it
ago.
8 or 9?
8.
They're remaking.
8's out already. There's a
Is
remake
8
for that.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, they didn't. They remastered it, right? It wasn't a
Remaster.
remake.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a remaster.
Right.
There was
If I
some kind
had
of weird
a-
remake of 7 they did though recently. I don't
Right.
know
Yeah,
much
they
about
they
it.
remade it into like
They
parts
redid
or
everything.
something
Yeah.
with like voice acting and.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I just know one thing. If your wife's getting ready to go out for a night and you're like, oh, you know what, I'll throw this on for 15 minutes. No, you can't do that.
Yeah, the problem with that game
Yeah.
yeah, the problem with Final Fantasy X is like you have to get to a safe spot to stop.
Yeah.
And then but as you walk toward the safe spot, you're getting like 800 battles that you have to get through. Very old school in that regard. Like modern games, you just stop and save, and you can just stop wherever you want. Just go off and do stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're coming close to our hour limit. Let's go ahead and do some final questions. Ben, what is a final question that you have for Ryan?
Well, you know my final question is the one I proposed to everybody. But if you had a question for the voice community at large, what would it be? It could be anything, really.
I don't know. Why aren't you making better skills?
I mean,
That's actually that's a really good
Let's
question.
all work
Really-
harder
really
and make better experiences. No, for real. I mean,
No, I'm with that 100%. I feel that.
that's probably one of the realest answers, the realest OG answer that,
I mean-
that I've heard so far. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we've got this tremendous opportunity, and there's all these platforms and there's all these tools, and I mean, there's just tons of opportunity to make really awesome experiences, and that's what you should be focusing on. And really, my other advice would be to focus on one thing and make it do it really, really well, right? If there was another mistake that we made, is we did too many things. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and actually, that I was going to ask you that earlier. I was going to say, what was the one mistake that you had made, and so you kind of covered that.
Not going to market soon enough with a smaller set of
Yeah.
features. Honestly, that was the biggest mistake that we made. Part of that was timing, right? So we had a good strategy, we had a good product. It took us a while to get out the door, and then when we did, we got hit by the COVID, which is not something any of us could really have foreseen.
No, and there's not like you can do anything about it. It just happened. It's just.
But by the same token, if we had a smaller set of features, we would have been out the door sooner, and we might have had traction prior to COVID,
right?
Giving us more runway. So
yeah.
Well,
I've been there. I know that. I agree with that.
Is that your question?
Was that your question, Liam?
Yeah, I'll go with that. That's fine.
Okay.
Well, there's your answer.
So
Thank you.
for me, my question is, have you subscribed to VoiceSpark on YouTube?
Of course.
Awesome.
I think that was the second one or the third. No, I'm just kidding.
Me.
Oh man.
No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, I did actually. I subscribed a number of weeks ago when you invited me on the podcast. I figured that you might ask me that when I came on. So I thought
dude, I ask everybody, and I wear the same shirt every week. So it's what I do. But
you wear the same shirt every week?
Every week.
He never washes it either.
I can smell it from here.
Wow.
Yeah, me too.
That's a lot of information.
You can go back and see all the old episodes. It's got me wearing this light blue shirt. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's good. It's good branding. I like that.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Yeah.
So
comfortable.
So we'll go ahead. We'll bounce you out real quick. We'll say some nice things about you. Close out the show, and if you can, stay back behind backstage. We'll bring you back on and bullshit with you a little bit more.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Had a blast.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not
All
backstage.
right. Well, oh no.
Oh.
I'm not backstage.
Chrome foiled by the Chromebook again.
The
Ah,
shitty Chromebook strikes again. All right. So with that being said, to close out our show, I'd like to thank Lotus Productions for sponsoring this month and last month. If you need a voiceover artist, if you need something to make your Amazon Alexa skill, Google Assistant, or mobile app pop and give it personality, reach out to the guys and girls over at Lotus Productions. They've been doing it for more than 30 years in the New York area. So with that being said, everybody good to go?
I think we're good to go.
All right. If you can, always, please subscribe to us on YouTube at VoiceSpark Live and hit the bell for notifications. And that's it.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Liam.